Video games are a part of our daily lives. Some of us play on PC or a Nintendo Switch, or engage in the never-ending feud that is Xbox versus PlayStation. We play a multitude of games, such as the interactive Google Doodles or Legend of Zelda, CSGO, Celeste, Hollow Knight. The list goes on, and as we appreciate the little details developers put into their work, from the intricate lore to astonishing graphics, we never truly think about the influence of religion. And why should we? Normally, you would think that video games and religions belong in two drastically different spectrums of life. You even see the occasional person online calling video games a sin. However, these two mediums are much more intertwined than we may think. The implementation of religious diversity in video games influences a new generation to see traditional religion through a new, modern perspective. It is easy to see the representation of religion in a negative light, especially when prominent in games known for violence and horror. The most well-known example of this is BioShock Infinite, developed by Irrational Games. The story tells of a false prophet, Zachary Hale Comstock, that creates an airborne city called Columbia and follows its devolution into a theocratic police state. The utopia that Comstock creates is reminiscent of John Winthrop's Dreams of a City Upon a Hill speech, exhibiting the desire for an impossibly stable Christian society. However, in this case, the hill Winthrop speaks about is the sky, and the utopia dreamed of becomes a place of destruction and ruin. Furthermore, the culmination of motifs like racism, extremism, cultism, fatalism, along with other religious undertones, created controversy, painting Christianity in an overall negative portrayal. Because of BioShock's success and criticism, it is easy to see how video games and religion seem to oppose each other. With the emergence of new genres and types of video games today, we begin to see the addition of religious diversity instead of blatant criticism. Genshin Impact, an action RPG developed and published by MiHoYo, is a new and relevant example of religious diversity in video games. The story is centered around a traveler who must journey to 7 different nations in the continent of Teyvat in order to find their sibling and discover the mysteries that lay within the gods and people. Although only 3 regions are out as of now, the religious diversity portrayed within each place is generally seen in a positive light. Mondstadt, the Nation of Freedom, integrates Christianity into its culture with the implementation of the Church of Favonius, characters like Barbara and Rosaria, and the worship of the god or archon Barbados. The integration of paganism is also relevant, as the name Barbados is a reference to an Earl and Duke of Hell from Ars Goetia, a grimoire on demonology, with the demonology being defined as the non-scientific study of the hierarchy of demons. The second nation, Liyue, incorporates Taoism, Confucianism, and other Chinese mythology. This is seen through the adepti, such as Ganyu and Xiao, who are references to Taoist immortals, or celestial beings. Morax, the proclaimed archon of Liyue, is named after the great Earl and President of Hell in Ars Goetia, once again a reference to demonology. The strife between gods and mortals within the storyline emphasizes the differences in Taoism and Confucianism, where Taoists in China emphasize nature and dealing with life in a natural manner, whereas Confucianists base their beliefs upon human conduct. The latest nation released, Inazuma, is inspired by Japanese mythology and Shinto. The shrines placed throughout the land and seasonal festivals are an easy indication of the inspiration, but the lore surrounding multiple gods and spirits emphasizes polytheism, which is true in Shinto. Much like how Shinto values purity, the emphasis on preserving eternity in Inazuma closely relates. The archon, Baal, is another reference to Ars Goetia and demonology, named after the head of infernal powers. Overall, the relationships between different religions is not dangerous nor destructive, and is in actuality used as a tool to connect people of different lands. With Genshin Impact's rising popularity within our modern times, religion within video games can be seen as a place for religious diversity and exchange, instead of a violent and extremist medium. In fact, While Genshin Impact is one of the most recent examples, many other games are exhibiting similar ideas. Video games are, in a word, extensive. There are numerous genres, playstyles, and themes, each with their own significance. Similarly, numerous titles exhibit instances of religious diversity within stories and lore, influencing the positive view of religion and harmony today.
So how do I interpret religion and the Elder Scrolls game series? So without making it too long, it takes concepts from pretty much most religions that you can imagine. The universe of the Elder Scrolls is Hinduistic in nature, where there's Brahman and personification of Brahman as gods. There are also concepts that are pretty much directly from Buddhism. Take some things and some religious texts from a religion called Telema. And I mean, there's so many other things that I could talk about, but the writers of the game series did study comparative religion in college. So, I mean, it really only makes sense that there'd be so many religious inspirations in this game series.
Every Fire Emblem game has a religion, and they all take inspiration from different religions. For example, the religion in Hoshido from Fire Emblem Fates is based on Shinto and other Japanese religions, while in Fire Emblem Heroes, the world is based on Norse mythology. Some games, such as Three Houses, are examples of how religious organizations can affect politics.
I don't play too many video games, but one that I do is called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And this game seems to have a lot of inspiration from different religions that kind of blend together. So for example, there's this main goddess, and throughout the game the player can pray to her and receive benefits in the game. And that's similar to a lot of Abrahamic traditions where people pray to a god and that benefits the individual. In addition to this main god, there are also a few other gods in the form of these dragon creatures. And these are said to be the incarnate forms of elemental gods in the game. So that idea kind of comes from Hinduism, where a god can take different forms on Earth, and it may be in the form of an animal or creature.
As we can see, religious diversity is not just kept within video games, but thrives in it. A multitude of cultures converge to influence the modern world. With the popularity of gaming in our society, the messages delivered within each game impact a new generation of people to change how they see the world. Now, what game do you want to play next?
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.